As today's Halloween, I want to talk about a horror anime. One of the newest ones to come out and explode onto the scene is The Promised Neverland, and my god, is it a masterpiece. It's about some orphans living their lives at an orphanage, waiting for a family to take them in. The first episode does a fantastic job in laying down the groundwork for the series, and I need to talk about it. At first glance, it looks like a happy-looking anime with some mystery wafting around it, with the gate being heavily emphasized. We see the kids doing normal kid things, including having an education through test taking and playing outside. Nothing out of the ordinary. But by the end of the first episode, things start to get even more mysterious when two of our main characters, Emma and Norman, go down to the gate and try and give back the character Connie her stuffed animal. But as they are looking around, they discover Connie's corpse. They also find out that these horrific creatures, for what kids call demons, are the ones behind this entire operation. The demons' purpose is to kill the children and then eat them. Emma and Norman are shocked at what they were witnessing. To make matters worse, their mom, Isabella, is also playing along with the demons, revealing that she is the shepherd. They scurry back from the gate and come to the terrible realization that they are living on a human farm. Instead of joining a family and living a happy life, the kids are met with a terrible fate. Emma and Norman make it back home, showing the face of defeat. Right away from the first episode, the characters get an objective, which is to escape the orphanage. This show goes from being pretty friendly to becoming dark really fast. It does a brilliant job in executing this by giving off a mysterious vibe from the start, and soon building to something horrifying. The scene in which the kids discover Connie's dead body may have been a bit predictable, but still gives shock value. Conveniently, this whole scene gives us the plot in a terrifying manner, which I admire. Now, let's talk about the characters, starting with Emma, Ray, and Norman, who are the oldest and most gifted children of the orphanage. Emma is a happy-go-lucky girl who's athletic and cares about everyone. Ray is an introvert that seems more keen on reading his books rather than interacting with the other children. And he's also an expert tactician. Norman's a prodigy whose intelligence surpasses adults, with his socializing skill being between Emma and Ray's. The three of them create this perfectly balanced team. It's very interesting to see their dynamic throughout the series. Two other characters I want to touch on is Isabella and Sister Kron. Now, I can talk about how both of them are very well written characters and how their character development was amazing, but that would make the video way longer than it already is. Isabella is the mother of the orphanage and always gives off this intimidating presence whenever she's on screen. She's very smart and is a master strategist. Her skills as a mom is exceptional, as she was the youngest person to become a mom for an orphanage. On the other hand, we have Sister Kron, who has some of the same qualities as Isabella. Both pretty smart and gives off an intimidating presence. However, she wants to overtake Isabella and become the mom of the orphanage, then send Emma and the others to get shipped out for knowing the dreaded secret. So she's kind of this middle ground character who's both working and plotting against Isabella and the children. Isabella and Sister Kron do a fantastic job in getting into the kids' heads from all the mind games and tense moments between them. One of the genres The Promised Neverland contains is horror, namely psychological horror. It has some moments in which the kids are really distressed about the pickle they're in, and some of the faces they make is pure fear. Isabella and Sister Kron are pretty scary characters because of how powerful of a role they played and how they acted throughout the series. The execution of horror was really well done because of how well it was implemented. With the psychological aspects surrounding the series, it does a great job in making the audience think. Like, the kids are against impossible odds. We're left wondering how on earth are they going to escape under these circumstances. Fortunately, the writers did a smart job in creating a scheme that felt realistically possible against impossible odds. Even with the amount of hurdles that the kids had to go through, they still worked around those obstacles in which it made sense. Many of these obstacles had, or were, pretty big plot twists. I want to mention that there are so many plot twists in the show, and all of them are really something you don't see coming. Like Ray being the traitor, and Isabel sending off Sister Kron, soon leaving her slaughtered by the demons. At this time, I want to give an in-depth analysis on Emma, Ray, and Norman and their perspectives in the story. Initially, when the three of them were planning their escape, Emma wanted to save all the kids while Ray only wanted to save themselves and possibly Dawn and Gilda. With this scene alone, we can understand their logic and sentimentality. Emma wants to save everyone because she's very attached and sentimental towards her family. She understands the difficulty of this task, but she's very determined to find a way. Ray, on the other hand, wants to save only a few people because trying to save everyone would be borderline impossible. He understands that having fewer people to escape is much more efficient and less time-consuming. Ray also factors in the kids' natural abilities, believing that they are incapable in escaping with them. Now you may be wondering, where does Norman fit into this equation? Well, he was right in the middle. He took in both Emma and Ray's arguments and devised a plan both of them would be okay with. They escaped with a handful of kids while only leaving the very young ones behind because they knew that those kids are not old enough to be shipped out. This critical decision gave Emma and Ray great character development. Emma understanding why she can't save everyone, and Ray acknowledging the fact that some of these kids do have the skills necessary to escape. Unfortunately, Norman didn't get any character development, but he was the genius who coordinated the entire thing, so it's justified. Let's talk symbolism, namely the gate, flower, and Isabel's lullaby. The gate bridges the gap between the orphanage and the demon's headquarters. It sort of resembles heaven and hell, heaven being the orphanage, which is a beautiful happy place, and hell being the demon's headquarters where kids get shipped, killed, and eventually eaten. Next up is the flower. Now, the name of this flower in the anime is called the Vita. It's based off a plant called the red spider lily, with its binomial name being Lycosis radiata. They usually bloom in cemeteries, and from the Chinese and Japanese translations of the Lotus Sutra, they are ominous flowers that grow in hell and guide the dead to the next reincarnation. This shows us even more symbolisms of heaven and hell. People plant them on graves because it shows tribute to the dead, which is what we see with the demons where they actually plant the flower on the corpse. The Vita also makes an appearance during the opening and ending sequences. Although the plant doesn't show up too often, the symbolism is definitely there. Lastly, we have Isabella's Lullaby. The song comes up a lot during the anime, many of times with different variations.
誰がそんなものにそう思った？じゃああなたには一体何ができるの？
The origin of the song can be traced back to Isabella's past, where she meets a boy named Leslie who was playing the song on his mandolin. She told him that the song was very beautiful, and because of the song, they became close friends. Sadly, Leslie got shipped out and Isabella was devastated. But when it was time for her shipment, she was appointed for mom training. Soon, she realized what really happened to Leslie way back when. As we observe her training to become a mom, we hear the same music playing in the background and see Isabel humming the song while pregnant. The fact that her child hummed the song and that her child was actually Ray was just icing on the cake. There's so much I admire about this show, and I appreciate the writers a whole lot for how crafted the story is. Hell, I love the series so much, I bought the first 5 volumes of the manga, and it's personally just as good as the anime. I'm the type of person that really hates the horror genre, mainly because I'm a huge wuss. But the Promised Neverland made me perceive the genre in a different way, which I really need to give it credit for. Well, that's me gushing about why I love the Promised Neverland and giving an analysis on certain aspects of it. If you made it this far, thanks for watching and have a nice Halloween.